Hello, and welcome to another astrology podcast video. Thank you for being here, as tonight we are discussing the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. Now, we have this eclipse lunation occurring today, Saturday, 29th of March at nearly 10 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and this is at 9 degrees of Aries. So obviously we are in eclipse season, and this new moon is really setting up for you. Yes, the next 2 weeks until the following full moon, which is the cycle at every lunation. But because this is an eclipse, this is also, along with that Virgo lunar eclipse we already had 2 weeks ago, this is part of the energetic switch that is igniting the incoming energies and the energetic setup for the next 6 months, really, until the next eclipses in September. So this new moon solar eclipse is also significant because of the swathe of incoming Aries energy that we have and will be having across the year and into 2026, and the ongoing energetic shifts and changes that we have going on even into 2027. I know. So the fact that we have an eclipse here occurring in this sign of Aries on the degree point that two of our personal planets have already stationed retrograde at, which was Venus and Mercury. So this new moon is really tying into their journey with this emergence of Aries energy. And on top of this, the day after this new moon, so tomorrow, is the big ingress with capital letters of Neptune entering Aries, the sign of Aries again, all of this Aries energy. And this is the first time that Neptune has done this in about 165 years. So this is kind of a big deal as well. All of this means that this day and the energies unfolding from this point have a long-lasting, reverberating aftermath, if you like. So this is a powerful, significant point in time to utilize the spark of momentum that this new moon solar eclipse is providing to open your eyes, to decide what you desire, where you want your energies to go, what you want to create in your life that comes from your personal inner fire, by getting attuned to your potent, authentic self and what that means for you at this point in time. So this is really an important one. I don't want to dramatize it. I don't want to sensationalize it, but it's a fact. This is a very significant new moon point here. But before I dive in too far, I will just go over, as always, what a new moon actually is and what it means, and also what the solar eclipse really entails. So the new moon is when both the sun and moon are conjunct, so on the same degree, in the same sign, which really gives an unfiltered, undiluted kind of a pure energy to the lunation, because both the luminaries, both the lights, yin and yang, are united together within this same energy. It is a merging of the energies of, with the sun, your consciousness, your ego, spirit essence, with the moon, which is your subconscious, your emotions, needs, well-being, your sense of belonging and safety, and your soul essence, if you like, your deep inner connection. This is the initiation point of the entire lunar cycle, when the light of the moon is not visible. So we're in darkness. This is where things begin. Things begin in the dark, in the void space, in the womb space. This is the time of conception. So this is the time to set intentions, plant the seed, begin something for the purpose of growth and fruition. Now, because that sky is dark, we can't see the moon. Things feel more liminal, intangible, even confused, like you're in the dark. And with the solar eclipse, which means that the moon's orbit is passing between the earth and the sun to obscure the face of the sun, which casts a shadow on the earth, it means we are experiencing the shadow. We're not actually experiencing this eclipse visually from our point in Australia here, but the symbolism and the energy is, of course, still present. We're experiencing the shadow. There is always a sense of deepness, darkness, and the subconscious at the new moon. And at a solar eclipse, whether a full eclipse or partial eclipse, we have a more influential, weighted, profound sense of the more shadowy aspects in our life. So what may feel hidden or obscured how you may be feeling overshadowed, in shadow, and why. So this is working with the shadowy or with the shadows of the subconscious in a very conscious way, because we are merging with that sun. They're conjunct on the same degree. It's the conscious and the subconscious coming together. And what is delivered from this process can really seed a powerful intention of manifestation at the solar eclipse, at any eclipse. And this is wherever, however you channel this learning, this energy, and this experience. So basically, an eclipse magnifies the intensity of a lunation. So this already powerful, fiery, far-reaching energy of this new moon in Aries, it's given the extra gravity of allowing us through this energy not only to plant the seed, but also to really enter into a whole different world, different way of being, new frequency, new paradigm, and in Aries, that new sense of self. So in Aries, this is around your identity. Who are you? Who do you want to be? Who do you know yourself as? And what do you want to create, bring forth from this center of self? Now, this is a new moon, which is already an emergence and a new start. And Aries itself is about initiating beginnings, taking action, because it's the first sign of the zodiac, a fire sign of bravery, assertion, honor, leadership, pioneering. So this new moon can be about the emergence of your real self, or stepping into a new self, or about the courage that it takes to step into that, or to take that next step in your personal journey, whatever that is right now, that is aligning with your true sense of self. It should also be noted here that the new moon actually is not in any major aspect to anything, to any other planets or points at all, except the lunation itself is the conjunction of the sun and moon. So that raw, primal, ardent Aries potency is not diluted, filtered, reflecting off anything at all. This is all powerful internal potential. So we have a solar eclipse. We have the unfiltered fiery Aries energy. And we also have this new moon nearly at the point of its closest orbit to Earth. It will reach that point tomorrow, as Neptune is entering Aries, by the way. That's the other big thing. We have a major outer planet ingress into the same sign about 24 hours later. So all of these things are big. It's a big deal. It's powerful. It's strong. The new moon can feel like it does pass you by unnoticed sometimes. But the thing with the new moon, and a lot of the time what I actually find with the eclipses, is that even though that new moon is the stillness and the void space and the nothing, it can feel like nothing happens. It's the reverberating energies from this new moon going forward that can unfold more obviously. And especially with the eclipse energies, I do find that to be so. So regardless of whether you're feeling it consciously or not, it will be unfolding for everyone in a different way. This is still a magnificently powerful pivot point here. What you choose for yourself, the channel or trajectory that your energy will flow into, is hinging on this point of emergence here, this point of awakening, of momentum, of the passion and spark to create. And this is not an overnight energy. This is a long-lasting influence that you can work with in an ongoing way. So if you're listening back to this after this solar eclipse, new moon has already occurred, it doesn't matter. This energy, as I said, is reverberating into next year and the year after. If you're working with the energies consciously now with this new moon point, though, all of these emergence and self-identity themes that you're working on can really have a very powerful knock-on effect at this time. But this is not the only time possible at all, the only window possible that you can be working for this. I just want to make that clear. Now, Neptune is going to ingress into Aries tomorrow, the day after this happens. Now, I've already given you an excerpt podcast video about this from my Patreon, so go and head over and have a listen if you want to know more. But just a bit of a recap here. Neptune will be bringing the wholeness, the unity consciousness, the unconditional love, the soul path energy, whatever that means for you, to this area of your life that you are emerging into. This could even be an all-encompassing self, Aries, acceptance, self-forgiveness, or self-love with Neptune. And this is the energetic shift and growth in your sense of your wholeness of self. So again, go check out that Neptune in Aries video if you want a more in-depth exploration of what this means. And not only do we have Neptune spotlighting Aries with this new moon solar eclipse spotlighting Aries, the Venus and Mercury retrogrades have already brought these ongoing themes to the knowing of your mind, Mercury, and the desires of your heart with Venus. When they stationed retrograde on this same new moon degree back in March, Venus was actually at about 10 degrees, nearly towards 11, but it's still close to this degree point and therefore still significant because it's all happening here at this point. And Mercury and Venus will bring it up to your heart and your conscious mind again when they pass over this point once more at the end of April. Now, 26th of April for Mercury, 16th of May for Venus. And they will also be touching Neptune in Aries on the way. So this is really ensuring, this is the ongoing process of ensuring that your mind and heart are in alignment with the path of your highest good, your personal divinity, whatever that means for you, your path of love, passion, and courage. This is just all very portentous. It's almost like, I've said this before, someone has choreographed this on purpose, the way that all of these energies are playing out synchronistically. It's also noteworthy that at the moment of the new moon, Mercury is actually retrograding over the 0 degree point of Aries. So the beginning point of the whole zodiac, the world degree, activating this world axis. So we're likely to witness some heated, significant communication on the world stage here. And in terms of your personal new start, whatever this is for you, yes, this is a point of pure raw potential. And Mercury is going retrograde backwards over it. So keep in mind that this is a process and it will unfurl over time. So even though this feels momentous or big or important, or yes, I'm going to do this, yes, I'm going to go for this, this is it, things will probably not gain full momentum yet. Now, this new moon energy is ongoing, as I've been saying, and also this is not a new journey. So this new moon degree point and this 0 degrees of Aries point and all of these energies that I've already touched on have already been in awareness. And this has been rising for you for a while already. And this new moon is a time for the launch point for you to, wake up to yourself, but in a way that you see with clarity who you really are. And from that, make a decision. This is Aries. Aries knows how to make a call, make a decision. To be the director, to be the leader, to be the pioneer of your life, to be the pioneer of your own identity and sense of self, and to have ownership of that unconditionally. And even though this Neptune is going to go back and forth into Pisces again, and even though we are still in the Pisces phase of that Venus and Mercury retrogrades, which means that the momentum won't truly pick up the pace for you potentially until the end of the year, possibly after May, June. Even that being so, this is still a new, fresh, stirring, rising, I just get the word dawn of self, of courage, of passion, of self-reliance, self-belief, self-confidence in a whole new way. And even though this dawn is still kind of gray, the sun hasn't fully risen, that doesn't matter. You can't stop the rise of the sun. It's the natural process, the natural order of things. And this rising of awareness will only naturally gather in clarity and form from this point. And with all the ongoing residual mistiness of Pisces that we still have to work through here, all this subconscious, dreamy, spiritual, whatever that means for you, imaginative stuff that we're learning to bring into reality, into your life, into form, and all of this stuff that you're being called to release when it no longer serves, in terms of dissolving perhaps victim consciousness, self-sabotage, toxic emotional patterning, psychic baggage, emotional baggage, addictions and moving through mental health issues, whatever and however that is showing up for you. If you've been moving through any of this Piscean stuff, you may now be feeling a sense of, at best, a sense of renewal, or even just more of a sense of hope, even more inspiration. You may now have, or you may now feel like you're even moving towards, or you even have a direction or a conviction, or you even feel more inspired and hopeful or passionate about this overall cyclical process of shedding and renewing, shedding and renewing. I mean, the endings have already begun. As I said, this isn't new. The beginnings coming from those endings are now starting to sprout. And even if you don't know which way they're going to grow, or it may not be growing or progressing as fast as you'd like, there's a sense now of being at least more inspired to tend to this growth, to this direction, to this autonomy. Now, the other fascinating thing here is that even though this new moon solar eclipse is technically unaspected, all personal planets are involved and affected and are affecting this lunation. So we've got the sun and the moon, obviously, as forming this new moon. I've already spoken about Mercury and Venus retrograde coinciding with this new moon degree. We also have Mars, which is the other personal planet, which is not in Aries or Pisces or touching any of these points, but he's the ruler of Aries itself and is therefore directly linked to this emergence of self energy. So the moon, the sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all involved here. They're all connected. So this may feel big, this may feel overwhelming, or it could also feel very broadly significant on a larger, broader scale and collectively. I'm not going to dissect the geopolitics, culture, and society, but it is big, especially when you then bring in the outer planet involvement here with Neptune. And because of the interpersonal planets, it just means that we're feeling this very close to home, very personally, in your home and domestic life and emotions with the moon, with your sense of identity with the sun, with your mentality with Mercury, and with your relationships, finances, and self-worth with Venus, with your will and drive with Mars. So those are broadly the luminaries and the inner planet scope of influence. That's a lot of areas of life. That's a lot of ground to cover. So depending on how this new moon solar eclipse is working with your chart, you will be experiencing this differently. Everyone will, to some degree, be experiencing this at some level in their life. And even just, I've been finding, even just talking to people, how they feel about where they're going in life, what they want to do, going about their day-to-day, anything. Everyone I have come across has something of this Pisces, Aries, shift and start and fatigue, but is also blended kind of paradoxically with the inspiration of what's coming next or what they want. And this is all occurring in some way, in some part of their life, with all the people that I've been coming across. So now with Mars in Cancer, ruling this lunation and this degree point and all the goings on in Aries, so soon Neptune as well when it enters Aries, all of this experience is deferring to your emotional will, your emotional drive, and acting from your true instincts and intuition, because Mars as well is out of bounds and has been actually for a really long time, which this just means that he's beyond the path of the ecliptic, beyond the sun's orbit. Because of this, I also think that this is linked in with your emotional autonomy and to playing by your own rules. So out of bounds planets can be erratic or reactive, and with Mars this can be quite pronounced because he's already quite a reactive, reactionary, fiery kind of a planet. So potentially emotions are triggerable and can possibly feel quite wild. And Mars out of bounds can also be about owning your own wild emotions and allowing them to be a healthy, integrated part of who you are, and owning that and being able to lead with that in a conscious way, because here, this Mars in Cancer is in mutual reception with the moon. in Aries. And this just means that they are in each other's signs of rulership. So they're working together here. So this moon in Aries, feeling fired up, feeling like you need action. This is your needs. You need action. You need movement. You need something fresh. You need something invigorating, needing passion, that connection to self. This is about integrating those feelings and needs by working with the Mars in Cancer, who has just experienced his own retrograde and has learned a lot about needing patience and acceptance of emotional processes. And Mars in Cancer has strong feelings, and yes, can be reactionary, and yes, there can be a level of emotional immaturity here. But because he's just had this retrograde, it's like you've already been through this whole process of your reviewing your emotions, reviewing the past, even family history, memories, old feelings that need resolving, emotional patterning. And you've had the experience perhaps of learning about and understanding where your emotional reactions and drives are coming from. So perhaps you now have wisdom and insight in how to be mature and strong in your feelings without being ruled by them. This is how you can work with those very, very potent, strong Moon in Aries needs here. So in fact, this is also about needing to lead Mars and Aries here with your instincts and emotions, which is Cancer and the Moon. So with the strong Aries fire, yes, there's intuition with fire and a confidence that is inspiring and even trusting. Mars in Cancer is here linking this desire to blaze with some basic gut intuition, which expresses itself through certain feelings or senses that you get about something without quite knowing why. And there may be some wild emotions and frustrations here because this is a process, because you've already been in it, because I'm telling you that this is not necessarily going to resolve for a little while. There can be some impatience here because Aries wants everything done yesterday. It wants to go, it wants to be, it wants to act, it wants to go for it. And there is a bit of watery influence here still. So not only with those Pisces planets, with Venus and soon Mercury retrograde, Saturn, the North Node, and now we have Mars in Cancer here in a water sign. So the way that perhaps we can balance this out and to temper this can be by really taking care of your emotions, taking care of your sensitivity and your needs, taking care of your emotional boundaries. This is the priority here. And also really tapping into that inner knowing before whipping the reins to a gallop into 100 miles an hour, because we're in the retrogrades. So gallivanting off may not turn out to produce the results that you initially want, which is why I'm saying just remembering that this whole thing is a process and going with the feeling is a really strong influence here. And that's possibly the best advice during this wild, flamey time. And I did just receive that family history, ancestors, lineage, heritage, your roots, your homeland can be coming up here with that Mars in Cancer, which rules these things. So maybe there is some balancing or integrating or merging with this sense of self with what you were born into in terms of where you come from, your culture, family, heritage, your family, etc. Just take that however it lands. Now, just moving on to the tarot here, this time I'm doing something a little different. I've made a spread for the season of Aries that was initiated by the equinox when the sun entered Aries on the 20th of March. And this is also about how these energies are going to be unfolding moving forwards. So bear with me, the cards did just keep coming, and there's a couple. I'll be listing the names of the decks as we go. So you don't necessarily have to look at the screen here. I'll be describing the cards as I go, but do feel free to have a little look-see if you like cards and pretty art, because these are gorgeous. So just starting at the top here, we have two cards on either side from The Season of the Witch Mabon Oracle by Lorraine Anderson, Juliet Diaz, and Tiana Lukovic. So on the left-hand side here, we have the Autumn Equinox card, which is about balance, which is what the initiation of Aries season is all about, believe it or not, because it is the equinox. It is equal light and dark, equal day and night. And this, for us in the Southern Hemisphere, this is the tipping point before we turn towards the darker half of the year, when the nights become longer, the darkness increases, the temperature drops, all of that stuff. There is a sense in autumn and at Mabon, which is the pagan festival that celebrates the equinox, there's a sense of realignment here through shedding, closing, ending, releasing, all of those words that we've already been talking about recently. And because this is Aries season, this is in regards to your identity, in regards to your sense of being able to assert and being capable in the world through knowing that sense of identity. So this could be the shedding of the misalignment of self through the misalignment of self-confidence and belief to be able to progress boldly into the unknown. And here, metaphorically, the unknown is the darkness in the darker half of the year. So the misalignment of self is being shed, and the misalignment of your own self-confidence and self-belief is in a process of being shed here and stepping into a whole new version of what that is. Now, in this card, we have two figures holding hands. So we have the lush, vibrant yang figure in the sunlight, in the light, in abundance. And we can see this as the ego identity consciousness here, having to hold hands with the darkness, so to speak, with this yin figure, needing to go within into the stillness, into the void. This is very new moonish, to go inward, to rebalance before going forward. And this yin figure, she's in the darkness under the full moon. So it's like we're being guided because it's the moon. It's from the inner planes. The inner self is the light right now. And even when everything else is falling away, that inner light is the guidance system, which is everything that I was just talking about with those watery energies there, the Mars in Cancer and the strong Pisces influence. So connecting to that inner knowing will be what is supporting you here to remain in alignment. And she's actually holding a sickle here above her head. So there will be work to do here. This is not going to be an easy ride. And the sickle also represents the harvest. So there's definitely a sense that there will be abundance and receiving and rewards through this inner shift and realignment with what we're going through. Now, on the right-hand side here, we have this gorgeous queen. This is the Queen of the Dead. Now, she has the new moon above her, that dark moon. So it's so funny how these things come out and really validate the astrology and everything that I'm talking about. So this new beginning that potentially you're experiencing or stepping into, again here, it's not likely to feel properly like a beginning because you still maybe feel in the dark because it's all inward at the moment still, especially with all of those retrogrades as well. And I have to say, the first thing that I thought when I pulled this Queen of the Dead was the Venus retrograde, because it makes me think of the myth of Inanna going into the underworld, which was the first myth that was recorded about the Venus retrograde. So Inanna went into the underworld to her sister, Queen of the Underworld, Ereshkigal, who basically stripped Inanna bare of all her clothes and finery, all her worldly goods, and destroyed her quite traumatically. Inanna was then reborn into the world, re-empowered, the divine goddess of love and war. Yes, I know, war as well. That's very interesting. Another story for another time. So there could be a stripping bare or a confrontation of yourself or your values here that's tied to this new moon, and with Venus coming back over this point in May. And this is the re-empowerment through the revitalization of your desires and passions and learning how to embody your heart and your love in your life. I mean, this Queen of the Dead doesn't look dead, you know. She's got red cheeks, red lips. She's wearing a red dress. And this is the color of life, of blood, of passion, of Mars and of Aries, and of Venus returning to Aries. And Venus in Aries is self-love, leading with your desires and leading with your heart. And that connection to your heart and your fire and your passions can be, though, about facing fears, facing up to or connecting to the messier, ugly parts of that deep, subconscious, subterranean world, those patterns, those parts of your deep emotional world that you need to accept as already dead and past and no longer serving you, for you to be able to be metaphorically rebirthed and transformed. Now, I am just getting here that there is a very wide minor aspect to the new moon. It's a sextile to Pluto. So this is a minor aspect and it's very wide. So I'm technically not really including it here. But it's kind of coming in here with all of these transformative cards, and I'll get to the other transformative cards in a second. And it's also interesting as well because the chart shape, which I'll just show you back here, the chart shape of this new moon lunation, which has been the same shape and the same fact for the last few lunations that we've had. It's a bowl-shaped chart here, and it's led by Pluto, as most of our lunations already have been as well. Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto was the first stone that really tumbled in this lineup of outer planetary shifts, stepping into Aquarius properly, permanently in November last year. So this deep inner journey here, it's like this card is saying it's directly connected to your bigger picture, to your wider trajectory, to your ongoing evolution. And there are many snakes on this card too, which is very Plutonic. And these are symbolizing the healing power of this journey because snakes represent, yes, poison, but also healing because poison has the capacity to both heal and harm. And they represent the transmutation, cycles, magic, sex, power. And I'm just getting that there is an empowerment here that's coming from the lancing of any of that poison here in healing yourself rather than harming. Now, if we go down to the tarot, these three cards on the bottom, this is the Wild Child Tarot by Scribblist. Now, under the equinox card of realignment and shedding, we have the Eight of Earth, which is the Eight of Pentacles. Now, straight away, I just get South Node in Virgo because the Eight of Pentacles, if you're using the astrological associations with tarot, which I don't always do, the Eight of Pentacles is ruling the first decan of Virgo, specifically the sun in the first decan of Virgo. So maybe at the beginning, the first decan of Virgo season, which is the end of August, start of September, we may be seeing some more practical particulars coming together that are linked to this time and this process right now. Interestingly, there are actually two new moons in Virgo this year. One's a solar eclipse and one isn't. That's another story for another time. So it'll just be interesting to see what comes up at the beginning of Virgo season and how it could be linking to what we've been moving through now. Now, this is also a North Node eclipse. So the eclipse is occurring next to or near the North Node. This is where we are heading, where your soul, your life, your energetic, your karmic evolution, whatever word vibes with you the most, wherever this evolution is going. And so with the South Node in Virgo here, represented, I think, by this Eight of Pentacles, underneath this equinox card of realignment and balance through releasing, it's just all tying together so nicely. So eights here are a mastery number in the tarot. It's a number of infinity, of balance and cycles, because 8 makes the shape of the infinity circles. This is about transitions, regeneration, and power. So it's like there is power to be gained by putting these practical steps in to shed, to move on, to become healthier on all levels, because Virgo rules health in your day-to-day. And it's putting the work in here to be the master of your day-to-day, to have mastery over your health and well-being, emotional health, mental health, physical health, spiritual health, whatever that means for you. And remember that sickle on the equinox card, this is needing to do tangible things here to release. Now, we do have Saturn, the planet of materiality, the 3D world, work and mastery, is on this Pisces Virgo axis, soon to touch these nodes. So this is about being realistic about your dreams, realistic about what you can do to rebalance, to feel whole, to feel united with your inner self and your higher self. And because the Eight of Pentacles is also about work, especially just working for work's sake, there will be a strong question mark here with this South Node in Virgo as well, which I've touched on before, is why are you working? Why are you doing this day-to-day stuff in your everyday? Is it giving you the good stuff that nourishes you? Does it give you the nectar with these beautiful bees here on this card? Is your work and daily routine needing a shift to realign you with your own mastery? And by mastery here, just to be a bit more definitive, I don't mean to be master or power over something. I mean being in a sense of wholeness with something. Like something is not the master of you, you are in an equanimity with. Now, Virgo is the priestess, and these bees are also linked to the divine yin as well. I'm not going to go into the symbolism of bees at the moment, but they're all female bees. They have a queen. So what are you dedicating yourself to? All the details and the particulars, all the little things. Does it serve you really? What parts of this can be shifted and let go so that you can dedicate yourself, sacred dedication to what is really calling you at this time, to what really matters? This can be about too, embodying the divine in your daily life, reconnecting with that, reconnecting with your mastery, your craft, or whatever that means for you by letting go of your habits or your ways of being in your day-to-day that are really hindering this. Easier said than done. It's not going to be easy, but there's a real rework here. And this can also be about letting go of criticism over analysis, of trying to be too quote unquote perfect, and learning to accept the perfection of the whole, that there is inherently a divine order in all things, and that trying to control or to have power over certain particulars, certain parts of your life, your habits, routine, can actually be disturbing this balance sometimes and putting you out of alignment. Now over to the Magician card on the right-hand side, underneath this Queen of the Dead. This is just really reiterating that all of the power is within you. Now, the Magician is another card of cycles and infinity in kind of the same way that the eights are, because in the original Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, the Magician actually has the lemniscate above his head, that figure of eight. So this, again, synchronicity, choreography, this is tying in beautifully with the new moon energies as well, because the Magician is potential. It is the seeds, the opportunities, having all the elements within you ready to alchemize and manifest whatever magic you're channeling it towards. So this is about manifestation and creation through intention, and all this power lies within you, especially with this Queen of the Dead internal journey here. This power is lying within you through this journey. Now, Mercury is associated with the Magician, which is another nod to that 0 degrees of Aries that the Mercury is occupying before going backwards into Pisces, then moving forwards again through Aries to activate this degree again and the new moon degree again. Now, Mercury has all the elements at its disposal because, as the psychopomp, Mercury was the god who could traverse all planes of existence, underworld, earth, heaven, and back again. So this exploration of the shadows that this new moon is bringing up, that is giving you the enlightenment of how to progress with your passions and sense of self, it's almost like a multi-dimensional journey here, going within to manifest without, going within to connect to that higher self, soul path, life evolution, bigger picture, what have you. And in this card, the crow is holding the element of fire, which is Aries. And even though it's winter, there's snow, the snowdrops have sprouted, and it's light, it's daytime in this card. And the crow is holding the warmth, the light, the inspiration that it requires. So even though it may feel cold or barren, or you're frightened of the unknown, there is still life stirring here. As I said, this Queen of the Dead, she doesn't look dead, not at all. She looks very, very full of life. And with this stirring life, this stirring within you, you have everything within you to connect to it in a way that's going to serve your progression to move forward. And this can be mastery of your underworld. And again, not mastery as in control, just to be clear, but it's about the knowledge and experience gained through this journey and knowing where and exploring where your dreams, urges, and your imagination is all coming from in this subconscious realm. This can all be helping you to connect to your wholeness, your completeness, albeit in a way that isn't necessarily easy or doesn't really feel that warm and fuzzy. Now, on this judgment card, we have another animal with wings. So all three tarot cards, we have winged creatures. So interestingly, this whole period of time and energy, I feel it's definitely going to lead to some kind of a lift-off and a soaring, some kind of a liberation. I mean, Uranus is entering the air sign of Gemini in the middle of the year as part of this ongoing grand shift with the outer planets. That's another tangent for another time. But this cormorant is flying downwards in the judgment card. So again, it's like you have to go in to go forward, which is another nod to these retrogrades and to the fact that this is an ongoing process. Now, it's Pluto again that I'm going to touch on because Pluto is associated with the judgment card, which I can get on board with that. And I just want to note that I don't really habitually use the Golden Dawn astrological associations for the tarot because it just doesn't really fit neatly for me. They're two very, very specific systems that just don't fit together in a cohesive way just because of this specificity, but they're incredibly complementary to each other. So I do utilize it sometimes when I feel it's valid. Anyway, so this is another card, the judgment card here of metamorphosis, transformation, rebirth, reinvention. It is also a card linked to the number 2 because it's the number 20 card, which numerologically correlates to the number 2. So this is about harmony, duality, and balance, which is kind of a nod to the equinox again. And this is also a choice point here too. This is the time, this is the due date, this is the direction, destiny, fate, whatever you want to name it, really calling you. So whatever seed and intention that you're planting at this time is reflecting directly onto your life's bigger picture. What you're moving through now is directing your personal timeline shift. This can be here a course correction, a course alignment, judgments and assessments, looking back and even giving yourself a clean slate by putting something to rest. And the fish in this card, it really gives me Pisces because of the vestiges of Pisces that we're moving through this year is really what is actually helping this direction and realignment, but through the dissolving, that Pisces dissolving of something. And that is what is going to be connected to your next big step. So again, we have another nod to the natural order here with the bird diving for these fish. So this shift, this newness, whatever you're experiencing, and though this may not make you feel any better, but it is connected to the natural order and progression of your life's journey, your life's natural order. And again, with the judgment card, it is a call. So listen to what you're being guided to, the signs, your inner voice, your higher voice, your instincts and emotions, your soul, if you like, whatever it is. This is, as I said, the beginning of the end to mark the beginning of the beginning. And this is the second last card in the major arcana in the tarot. So this is nearly over. It's nearly done. It's nearly done. And the next bright spark, new life, new passion will come after this. There's an accumulation here with the judgment card of everything you've been through, how far you've come in this journey, all of your experience and wisdom that you've accumulated, and also all of the weight that you've picked up along the way, which is kind of what I touched on before in terms of that psychic baggage and emotional baggage. So this is the decision here, perhaps, of what to carry forwards and what to leave behind. This can be about making peace, Pisces, with yourself, Aries, self-acceptance, self-deliverance, and the accountability of relying on yourself and your own personal power to move you through this hard or intense or uncertain time through this shadow work. Okay, I think that's it. All right. I know that was a lot longer than usual. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for being here. I have a Patreon if you'd like to pop over and check it out, where I offer some deeper guidance into the transiting astrological energies if you think that's something that you could benefit from in this wild energetic ride that we're on. And in the meantime, enjoy the lively new moon solar eclipse in Aries, and I will see you in my next video. Ciao for now.